Oddly enough, the Guardians of the Galaxy have been around since the late 60s, but the movie focuses on the modern team consisting of Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot. They weren't a household name, so many people didn't know what this movie would be like. I mean, you have a talking raccoon with a machine gun and an anthropomorphic tree. Would this work for the MCU? Well, let's look at the story first. It begins with Peter Quill as a young boy who is very distraught over the loss of his terminally ill mother. Fun fact, the actress who played Peter's mother also played that blonde who approaches Captain America for an autograph. Even though she had 3 seconds of screen time, her striking beauty made her brief role stood out. So yeah, Peter Quill's mom met Captain America. Lucky woman. Anyway, after running away outside, Peter is beamed up in a spaceship. We see years later that Peter, who is played by Chris Pratt, becomes a junker for Yondu, played by Michael Rooker, and goes under the name Star-Lord. He attains this orb, but little does he know that it contains a very powerful Infinity Stone which an alien named Ronan has his eye on. Star-Lord runs into Gamora, as well as Rocket Raccoon and Groot, who try to nab him and the orb respectively. But they all end up in prison where they meet Drax and make a grand escape. At first they tried to sell the orb, but after seeing how powerful it is, they tried to bring it to safety and not let Ronan get it and lay waste to the entire galaxy. I too didn't know what to expect from this movie, but I was very surprised to see the critical acclaim the movie was getting. People were saying, Guardians of the Galaxy was freaking awesome! Some even also say that it was the best Marvel movie ever. So my expectations were raised when I went to see it, and I think it's just good and not great. Wait! With all due respect to the fans, let me explain. First off, the opening felt very heavy-handed with its melodrama, especially with Peter's reaction to his mother's death. But I will say, I was hooked when Peter puts on his headphones and struts down to the tune of Come and Get Your Love by Redbone, which is my favorite song in his Awesome Mix Volume 1 tape. But that feeling slowly faded away as the movie went on. The characters are alright, but I agree with the Honest trailer that they felt like the Space Avengers. Star-Lord is Captain America, Gamora Black Widow, Rocket Raccoon Tony Stark, Groot the Hulk, Drax Thor, and Yondu Hawkeye. However, if I had to pick a favorite character, it would be Groot. Even though he only says, I am Groot, he has a huge heart and is the most innocent of the team. I love in one scene where he stretches his arm to catch soldiers and he thrashes them kind of like the Hulk did with Loki. But the killer is when after he's done, he turns to his friends and just smiles. Some other tidbits I enjoyed are cameos from people who worked with Joss Whedon, who was also friends with director James Gunn. Alexis Denshaw returns at the Other, only to get killed after 30 seconds of screen time. What the f***? Nathan Fillion provides the voice of that blue monster inmate, and Seth Green voices Howard the Duck in the after credits scene. Again, like most of the MCU movies, the villain isn't that great, but we have a couple who have potential. There's Nebula, played by Karen Gillan of Doctor Who fame, who is Gamora's sister and the adopted daughter of Thanos, played by Josh Brolin, whom we get our first glimpse of. With them making more prominent appearances, respectively, maybe it would work to their advantage. Along with the characters, the tone, look, and soundtrack give the movie a very unique identity. So much so that some movies, mainly one, would try to replicate it and fail. Bottom line, while not a complete disaster, Guardians of the Galaxy provides decent characters and establishes its world well, like Asgard from Thor. It wasn't quite the runaway hit I expected it to be, but I think the third time I liked it a little more. Personally, I blame that pesky hive that really gets you excited over nothing. Luke, what are you talking about, Luke? What do you mean by this? You manipulate people into thinking something is great when it's not. Really? Have I always disappointed you? Wasn't La La Land the best movie you've seen last year? Well, yes. And didn't Star Wars The Force Awakens lived up to your expectations? Oh, most definitely. But you turn people against those movies. What else would you expect from the world's biggest troll? Man, that evil spirit of geekdom is so irksome. Anyway, I'm giving Guardians of the Galaxy my modest approval. So you may be thinking that I'm not looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Actually, quite the contrary. I think the sequel would be interesting in showing the group, feeling more at home with each other and going against bigger predicaments. Plus, when the second trailer came out, I was pretty much hyped for this movie for a couple reasons. One, Baby Groot. He's so adorable! I want one for myself! And in the last scene of the trailer, we see Mantis feeling Peter's emotions, and she says that he feels sexual love for Gamora. And Drax has this very hilarious reaction to it. He exclaims, "She just told everybody your deepest, darkest secret. You must be so embarrassed. Do me, do me, do me." After that, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm totally sold that this sequel will be great with twice the action and twice the hilarity. But what if it turns out to be a huge disappointment? But James Gunn would be returning and it got a 100% score at test screenings. So, Jon Favreau returned for Iron Man 2, and Joss Whedon returned for Avengers Age of Ultron, and they weren't well received by fans and critics. What do you gotta say about that? We are Groot. It goes to show that positivity will always triumph, because being a troll is dumb.